Okay, starting a little early, you guys. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. You're first. Oh, there's no deer in the back yet. He's waiting for him in the window. Aren't you, buddy? Huh? Told you it's going to get warm. It's going to get warm. Oh, yeah. Well, well, well. Supper time. Daniel's getting dinner for everybody. Did you watch the first show, Daniel? It was a good one. Hey, Chico. Look at me. Chico, look what I got. You better behave. I might have to turn the air on, buddy. Okay? Getting muggy out. I'm gonna turn the air on. Turn the air. Oh, Lucy took a drive to see her grandson, okay, today. I don't know if she's back home yet or not. Maria just got back from Daytona. Ooh, guess who else is breaking news now, you guys? Fauci's getting indicted, I think. Q just came out with a video. And then I don't normally play Doug first at the beginning, but he has something on the indictments with Clinton's video. So, but we're gonna play these other ones I got first. Well, we'll go ahead and start early, you guys, since I want to get a lot out. Hopefully, we'll get everybody in here. I'm a little bit early.
Gotta go. Today, a grand jury sitting in the District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year, he knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2, same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years. So I think it's fair to say that threatening the life of anybody is dangerous and potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice. Over the past year, this department has charged dozens of cases involving threats against all sorts of individuals. We take these seriously, every single one of them. For example, just today in the Northern District of Florida, there was a guilty plea from an individual who threatened multiple political leaders, including President Trump. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, where this case was indicted earlier today, there are multiple threats cases very similar to this one, including one where the defendant pled guilty recently to threatening former President Biden, another one that's scheduled to go to trial this summer, another one indicted, an individual was indicted for threatening Tom Homan. I say that to say that while this case is unique and this indictment stands out because of the name of the defendant, his alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate and that we will always investigate and regularly prosecute. I want to take a moment to thank the hardworking members of the FBI who investigated this case over the past 11 months or so, the United States Secret Service who also assisted in this investigation, and the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina, led by United States Attorney Ellis Boyle, who's standing to my right. This was an investigation that remains ongoing. That's been ongoing for about a year. And that's all we're going to say about it today. I will let the U.S. Attorney Boyle speak now, and then after that, Director Patel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Earlier today, a grand jury in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned a true bill indicting Mr. James Comey with committing 2 felonies. Count 1, he knowingly and willfully made a threat to kill and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in violation of 18 U.S.C. 871A. Count 2, he knowingly and willfully transmitted in interstate and foreign commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill President Trump.
Hello, LCC, welcome. What do you mean you lied? I was just curious what you were talking about.
Trump in violation of
Welcome,
18
Mr.
U.S.C. 875C. Mr. Comey will be given every form of due process all citizens are entitled to receive, to include a trial by a jury of his peers. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, it doesn't matter who you are. We take all threat cases seriously and prosecute anyone who violates federal.
Yeah, they've been lying for how many decades, right? LCC. How long have you been following? I haven't seen you in chat, but welcome, and let's ask you what state you're from. Let you know the state, Michigan.
Law, regardless of title or status. Thank you.
Thank you. As you heard from the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney, former FBI Director James Comey has now been indicted for 2 felony counts. While many of you may read this indictment and view this matter as a simple investigation, it is the farthest thing from that. Every single investigation this FBI and our partners at the Department of Justice undertake, especially those that involve the threats to harm or hurt or even kill individuals, whether they hold public office or are civilians in our country, are met with the same measure of investigative prowess and tools and personnel in partnership with the Department of Justice as anyone else. As the U.S. Attorney indicated, James Comey will be afforded every matter of due process under the United States Constitution. And as the Attorney General indicated, this has been a case that's been investigated over the past 9, 10, 11 months. These cases take time. Our investigators work methodically. They are career agents, career prosecutors who work these matters. They call the balls and strikes in the field as they see fit pursuant to the facts of the case and the law. They took that information and made a presentment to a grand jury, a jury of peers in the district in which the alleged crime took place. And that grand jury spoke, and that grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against James Comey. James Comey allegedly threatened the life
whatever
of the
the
President of the
movie is.
United States. And as you all now know, shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology. All of that information was presented to the grand jury, and Mr. Comey will have his day in court and his ability to speak to a jury of his peers. Thank you.
Your perfect domain
Tip,
is out
tip.
there. Go to Wix and make it yours.
I told Kay and Flying Eagle up the other night about, did the ice cream truck come by yet? And I got two, there's another indictment that came out too a little while ago, you guys. Fauci. This is 4 minutes on this one.
COVID-19 and the of the virus. 78-year-old David Morenz served as a senior scientific advisor for the NIAID from 2006 to 2022. According to the indictment, Fauci's advisor was part of a deliberate scheme during the height of the pandemic to hide what they knew and what they discussed about COVID research. Morenz, along with co-conspirators, including the head of an NGO research group who got federal funding, used Morenz's personal Gmail account instead of his official NIH email to talk about their research after the Trump administration yanked the major bat coronavirus grant because Trump was concerned that COVID-19 leaked from the lab, so it terminated the grant. They also talked about sharing the information they knew with Fauci, but making sure there wasn't a paper trail or any way the communications could be FOIA'd. It is widely believed that the head of the NGO is Peter Daszak, president of EcoHealth Alliance. He's referred to as co-conspirator number 1 and his organization as company number 1. The indictment does not name him directly, but details match Daszak and EcoHealth Alliance exactly. In February of 2021, they talked about making emails disappear. Morenz wrote to Daszak and others after a FOIA request hit. I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd, but before the search starts. So I think we are all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. In April of 2021, they talked about COVID scheme's secret and a back channel to Fauci. They were talking about how to share documents and information with Fauci without creating a FOIA trail. Daszak saying, please feel free to share any docs that I've sent you with Tony. Hopefully you can do that in a way that avoids FOIA. And if not possible, just show him stuff on screen, share on Zoom. Daszak added, totally agree. Tell him I'm happy to speak with him at any time and will do so in a way that's not FOIA-able. Morenz then stated, P.S. I forgot to say there is no worry about FOIAs. I can either send stuff to Tony on his private Gmail or hand it to him at work or at his house. In June of 2021, they talked about deleting emails about the origins of COVID after an old Daszak email to Fauci surfaced via FOIA. He added the best way to avoid FOIA hassles is to delete all emails when you learn a subject is getting sensitive. Other emails included, quote, as you know, I try to always communicate on Gmail because my NIH email is FOIA'd constantly. Stuff sent to my Gmail gets to my phone, but not my NIH.
She was talking about her stuff. She was saying, so I just wanted to share the Fauci there. So I'm going to play Q's video on Fauci is 5, and then I won't play Doug's video on Fauci, but I will play Doug's thing about the Clintons are in the news again. It seems like everybody's falling into place, Flying Eagle. They're all coming out.
Don't want to beat around the bush too much because it's on cover in a short period of time. So the DOJ has apparently turned its sights on, as far as I'm concerned, public enemy number 1, which is Dr. Fauci. Now, we could all argue who is the biggest target. I don't believe Obama. I would love to see Obama pay for his crimes.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the ruling that the Supreme Court gave us for Donald Trump, saying that he had immunity, I believe that they will use that to try to get Obama off as well. So Obama, I think, unfortunately, as much as his crimes offend me, I believe that he's untouchable. Dr. Fauci needs to pay for his crimes against the world. So I love the fact that the person who is probably most equipped to make him pay and understanding the level of criminality with Fauci is in the Trump administration. I would say that nobody gets Fauci quite like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So, but getting on, so they turned their sights on him. So they've actually gone after his senior advisor. So this Dr. Morens. Now, this Dr. Morens, David Morens, served as basically his right-hand man in the NIH from 2006 to 2022. And he acted as a liaison with Dr. Fauci. He was involved in all of it. And so, interestingly enough, this man kept some really, really interesting records, and the DOJ is after him. Now, he's 78. So what's I believe is going on is they're going after him. They don't necessarily want this 78-year-old man. They'll take him and they'll arrest him and put him in jail. What they really need and what they've shown that they really want is to get him to cooperate for a lesser sentence or possibly no sentence, but get Dr. Fauci. And I believe at 78, this man is motivated to not spend the rest of his life in jail and will turn state's evidence. Now, they have more than enough to lock this man up for a very, very long time because he did conduct official government business from his private email, which is the least of this man's worries. But in an email, he said, there's no worry about the FOIAs. I can either send stuff to Tony on his private Gmail or hand it to him at work or at his house. He wrote in April 21st, 2001. He says of Fauci, he is too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble. What in the world? You're telling me that the perfect man, Dr. Fauci, handled information that could get him in trouble, and he'd rather have this stuff handed to him in person? Well, that in and of itself is a problem. Now, 2 months before that, in February, Morens had an email that says, I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd, Freedom of Information Act. But before the search starts. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail, he noted. This is interesting. This is interesting. So we see Fauci's right-hand man clearly working with and for Dr. Fauci to make sure that he's hiding and concealing information that is damning to him, information that we now know through this investigation either discussed or proved the origins of COVID, and also the fact that they were working tirelessly against people like myself that were telling the truth about the origins and the truth about what it could do and what it would do. I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that, but let me know what you guys think about this. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Get Ahead of Lead. It's a new initiative to help families reduce lead in their...
Guess who I got coming up next? Lucy's not here yet. I hope she's listening. She's visiting somebody. Our favorite lady on TikTok, she got 2 videos. She just came out with her second one, a 3-minute and a 4-minute one. We got Billy Bean later, 18 minutes.
President, but I'm going to tell you something that's going to cheer you up if you haven't been watching the news. The grand jury just sent out an arrest warrant on James Comey. You know, the man that happened to be walking along the beach and his wife said, "Look, honey, look what just happens to be in the sand. The seashells on the seashore spell out 8647. And dumbass goes, "Well, let me take a picture of that, upload it, and show what somebody did on the beach." Well, guess what? Arrest warrant has been issued, 2 indictments threatening the president's life. Now, all you liberals out here, you teachers and you beer business owners and you nurses and everybody out here calling for somebody to take one for the team, somebody got to do it. Oh, honey, it's going to happen. They coming for you, okay?
Yeah, the nice
other thing is, I believe it was 22. My math ain't that good, but I believe it was 22 businesses this morning basically had the doors kicked in. The government's out there checking their asses for fraud over in Minnesota. You know where our hard-working tax money went? Well, they over there checking it out now, and there's supposed to be a whole bunch of arrests going on. So let me tell you something else. You know who else might be a little scared? It's Fauci. Fauci needs to watch his little ass for the shit that he's done, okay? So I just wanted you guys to know what had happened. And by the way, did you notice the Democrats in Congress this morning clapping, standing down like a bunch of damn seals and walrus for the king? Now, I'm a little confused, as I'm sure all conservatives are, because have we not had many protests and riots, not riots, sorry, many protests in the streets and little marches with our purple-haired friends hollering about they don't want no kings. It's no King's Day. Well, y'all's asses just had one, and you couldn't stop standing up and clapping long enough for it. You just couldn't stop clapping and clapping and clapping. Anything but Trump, correct? Well, you know what? Finally, it's taken time because Trump's had his hands full since he got in office. All he's done is put out fires. You know what? It's finally happening. Indictments are coming down. All of you that run your mouth about our president and wished him unalive, they're coming for you too. And let me just say this before I go. I was never a Biden fan. I couldn't stand him. I thought he was a moron, an idiot. I knew he wasn't running the country, and I said those things. But you want to know something I never said, still wouldn't say to this day, and do not wish ever? I've never, ever said that I hope somebody takes out Biden, that I'm sad that I woke up and he's still alive. That would have never come out of my mouth. In fact, when I found out he had prostate cancer, was in the last stage of his life, it actually made me sad. It actually made me sad. My granddaddy went through that. And I know what that's like. I don't wish that kind of shit on nobody. You want to know why? Because I don't have a fucking exorcist demon residing in my soul. That's why. So for everybody else out there, hang tight. Trump is cleaning house.
Okay, one more. She just came out. 4 minutes. I got Kennedy 7 minutes, you guys.
So apparently you can get on here and call Trump every name in the book. But when you get on here and you question why is he being called this and you ask for evidence, that's a community violation. So let me see if I can word this a little different for the TikTok standards.
Optimal.
So all of the children that Trump did, you know what to. Because, you know, we call him that name that rhymes with wow. Where are these children? I know they had to have grown up, except for the ones that because, you know, those aren't around anymore. But the ones that grew up, where are these women coming forward saying, hey, I was just a little kid and he did this and that to me? Where are they? As far as the ones that can't speak because they were regurgitated out, the man that saw this happen, that testified, didn't testify. He told the FBI he saw it happen. But yet, while the Biden administration had this paperwork, this man was never investigated. He was never questioned. He's never brought before Congress. I can understand the Trump administration not wanting to get in touch with this man and find out why he didn't report it to the police, the news, whatever, because, you know, they're all involved in it. But why didn't the Democrats do it? Why are the Democrats right now calling this man in front of Congress to say, hey, what did you see? Was you peeking through a window and you saw this happening? You took off running, you just forgot to tell somebody? Was you a part of this dinner and you just decided, no thanks, none for me? And then now, you decided years later when Trump was running for election, you're like, oh my God, wait, I just forgot. Everybody was snacking on these little So why isn't Congress holding a meeting? Why are they not questioning the man that saw it? Make it make sense. Where are the children that you guys say that you call him these horrific names, rhymes with wild, tile, mile, sile? Where are these people that he did this to? Why are they not coming forward? Why are none of the Epstein victims coming forward and saying that they witnessed and yum, 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 yum? Make it make sense. We are dealing with people that are so radicalized, that are so weak-minded, that they just say anything. And do you know how scary, dangerous that is? This is a mob. We've got thousands upon thousands, probably millions of people that say this kind of stuff, that have no clue what the fuck they're talking about. They don't care about evidence. They don't want the evidence. They don't care about facts. They don't want the facts. They want to believe this. That's how deranged they are. We've got a mental illness epidemic. A woman that's had that happen to her, by the way, this whole thing with E. Jean Carroll, Trump was so well known. He was doing cameo in movies. He's a multi-billionaire, but yet he goes into a New York department store and manages to lure this woman into a dressing room with nobody paying attention. And you know how the department stores are in New York. You've always got those women asking, can they help you? This man who is so well known managed to drag this woman into a room and did a little something. Don't forget, she said it hurted. And then he gets done. They get done and they come out. Nothing said. Nobody sees nothing. And she doesn't even write it in her diary. She doesn't tell her friends. She don't tell nobody. I can give her the fact that she didn't go and have a DNA kit or all the kit done, not DNA. Sorry, I can give her that because a lot of women don't report it. I understand that. But then you waited. Like, why didn't you come out when he had The Apprentice? You just waited till he's running. Why didn't you come out when he had The Apprentice? And then you said most people think it's sexy. This is who y'all said he great. This is who y'all believe in. Any woman that's been that way, done that way.
Yep, I'll be playing her
Y'all know
that
she's
way
lying.
every day.
And so do you.
Or
But
what's
you just need something to hang
God.
on to. You need God. Guys, so I just had another video removed.
Okay, we got two of her tonight. 7-minute Kennedy video.
Shortness of breath, like fatigue.
I had no energy.
I couldn't do everyday normal.
Madam Secretary, I want to make it clear that my remarks do not refer to my good friend, Senator Shaheen. I want to start by saying one person's opinion. You are so cool, literally and figuratively. They call you names and you just ignore them. I also want to say from the record, I don't think we ought to mislead the American people. This isn't your budget. This budget was put together by OMB in the White House. Every White House does it, sends us a budget. We take a look at it. Some of it we adopt, most of it we ignore. So all this play acting for the cameras is just that, play acting.
Yep.
I want to take you down memory lane. I'm going to come back to the extraordinary job you've done at the Department of Education, which was, when you took it over, was the poster child for excess federal government, chock full of a bunch of woke race baiters whose job was to get in the way of our teachers and our teachers' age. But I want to take you down memory lane because you've done this despite all of the obstacles. Do you remember when my colleague, Senator Schumer, said the following, I'm going to quote, Americans don't want a radical, out-of-touch billionaire slashing funding for public schools. Linda McMahon is not qualified to lead America's public education, but that's why Trump nominated her. She's the perfect choice to burn our public education system to the ground, end quote. Remember that?
I do.
You remember when Congressman Mark Pocan, I could be mispronouncing his name, so I apologize, said, quote, Linda McMahon should stick to wrestling. You remember that?
I actually don't remember that one.
Boy, you can only be young once.
Pretty well with that, though.
You can only be young once, but boy, you can always be immature, can't you? Do you remember when The Nation magazine, very, very democratic magazine, published an article entitled Linda McMahon's only qualification as education secretary is a history of spreading hate? And this is what they said. Quote, she is 76 years old and wants her legacy to be turning the bigotry that made her so obscenely rich into public policy. She's a simpleton. My God. I want extra time, Madam Chair. Everybody else has gotten it. I have been so impressed with the work that you have done in lifting up elementary and secondary education and trying to whittle down that giant rogue beast that we call the Department of Education, the work you've done on school choice and returning authority back to the states and local government and fighting anti-Semitism and fighting for women's sports. In a couple of minutes, tell me about your accomplishments. I know you can't do it in 2 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm glad I really don't remember a lot of those quotes.
Oh, there's more.
but
they hit you with everything but a chair. It's disgusting.
Well, I can tell you what I believe we've accomplished a lot. As I mentioned prior to visiting so many states and to see what kind of education systems many of those states have, from classical education, from that I saw in Florida and other states, to states that have really accepted returning their reading programs to evidence-based phonics, and we've seen the response to that from many states who are looking now to take those same programs into numeracy to make sure that the math scores are coming up. When you walk into a department and you look across the country and the President of the United States has told you that he was embarrassed and ashamed by the state of education in our country, and not only across the country, but in its place in the world. And he expects you to do something to make a difference in that, because what we've been doing is not working. The innovations that we've seen to bring the level of schools' reading and math programs up is be innovations in the states. They don't come from the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. So what I hope to do is to put together a toolkit to leave behind and to share with these states, this is what is working. These are some of the things that we have seen, the Mississippi Miracle. Mississippi was next to last, in reading. You know that very well, Senator. And they threw their own invention. It took about 10 years, but they didn't give up, and they kept doing it. And the steps that they took and made, Louisiana adopted, Florida adopted, Tennessee, other states. And so we have seen through the state's innovation and continued funding, which will continue to come through government programs, they have made a difference. And that's why states are the center of what's going to be successful for them, whether it is looking at their children, with disabilities. That is why in our budget proposal, we have asked for the largest increase, $500 million to go into IDEA funding, because there are more students who need these. So I think that we've made some incredibly significant accomplishments, and we've just begun. I've only been here just a little bit over a year, But we're on the road to continue to look at the states and what we need to help them with their funding to take on more of these programs. And those programs that are federal will stay in the federal government. Title A stays in the federal government. IDA stays in the federal government to make that funding, but to send it, directly to the states. So I'm pleased with where we've come so far, but we clearly have a lot of work yet to do. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, latest on Kennedy. Okay, I got a couple short clips, and then we'll get to Billy. This next clip, you guys will. Hold on, Chico.
On a show that is supposed to bring laughter, you refer to me as a soon-to-be widow, as if the idea of me just having lost my husband were something to joke about. I don't care about your personal feelings, but as a public figure, casually making jokes about someone's life in front of millions, imagining their death for entertainment crosses every line of basic decency. I don't know if, in your view, implying that a wife is about to lose her husband is humor, or that a family facing potential devastation is material for laughs. But I know very clearly that such remarks don't make you sharp or brave. They make you appear cold and cowardly. I hope those who provide you with a platform take a moment to reconsider whether they want to continue enabling this kind of behavior, one that takes pleasure in hurting others. Mr. Jimmy, you owe an apology to everyone who still believes in kindness and respect for family. Mr. Jimmy, I do not need...
Okay, Melania, did you get to listen to the whole thing of Mel this afternoon? Hi, Mom. Lucy, Mom. I'm going to play this 4-minute clip, and then we'll play Billy.
Really well, because they laughed like hyenas, their left-wing flogs. But instead of toning down the temperature post an assassination attempt, he doubled down on his joke about Melania being glowing because she has the look of an expectant widow, and went harder, essentially, on how miserable she is with Donald Trump, and essentially defended his part in what is heightened tension regarding violent speech everywhere, essentially, predominantly, though, on the left. And I say this, I don't think he should be fired. I don't like calling for anyone to be fired. I don't think he should have a job because he sucks and he's miserable and he ain't funny, which when you're looking at the attributes of a comedian, it's kind of the top one. But I don't think anyone should call for him to be sacked. No one watches his show. That's another reason. But look, you would think off the back of what's occurred, they would get it. But no, of course not. This is Trump's third assassination attempt. We've seen conservative commentators like Charlie Kirk killed. Yet Jimmy Kimmel will still get up there to his room full of flops and make jokes about Melania Trump becoming a widow. Because that's who he is, and he ain't got nothing else.
You wake up in the morning and the first lady puts out a statement demanding you be fired from your job. We've all been there, right? You've been there, right, Guillermo?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What a day. As you know, they had to cancel the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington on Saturday night after a man with multiple guns and knives crashed the party and may have shot a Secret Service officer. Fortunately, the guy was wearing a bulletproof vest and is okay. They're not sure exactly what happened, but they got the guy. He was charged today. No one was hurt, thank goodness. A lot of people were shaken up on a night that is supposed to be lighthearted. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, if you don't know, it used to be an annual event before Trump showed up. But every year they'd have a comedian roast the room. The president, the vice president, members of the press, everybody got roasted. I did it once. I hosted it. It was a lot of fun. But this year they said no comedian, We're bringing in a mentalist instead. So on Thursday, 3 days before the event, in order to keep that cherished tradition alive, I did my own version of the Correspondents' Dinner on my show. I put on a tuxedo. We pretended we had an audience of luminaries. We used old footage of the Trumps, of Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Kid Rock, Vanilla Ice, all the members of his cabinet. And we made it seem like they were all together in a room. We had a little roast. Again, this was Thursday, and there was no big reaction to it until this morning when I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm. And a call to fire me from our First Lady, Melania Trump, saying I should be fired because of a joke I made, again, 5 nights ago. It was a pretend roast. I said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow, which obviously.
All right, it's here.
I never watched that. I don't think he's a good comedian. The best one I knew was Jerry Seinfeld. Was the only one I knew.
April 28, 2026. Time in Texas about 4 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover.
17 minutes.
AI in U.S. vehicles. U.S. intel. And President Trump says he's in no rush. 86-47. And we know President Trump is President 47. And harvest. So let's get started. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share. And we have this from U.S. Intel. President Trump talking about what's going on in Iran says the U.S. is in a great position. The U.S. is in no rush to do anything. We have this from Space Weather today, April 28, 25% chance for X flares. And we have this from Steve Crowell's aggregate site, End of the American Dream. So the U.S. During JB put out legislation to force U.S. Car manufacturers, trucks and cars and so on, to put an AI kill switch on the vehicles. Now, it would help keep vehicles from operating if the AI in the car or truck sensed that the driver was impaired from alcohol or drugs or medications even. But another scenario is you receive a panic phone call. You're in a panic mode and you want to get home as soon as possible. There's some emergency. Well, the AI, picks up on your pulse increase and your eye flicker rate and decides that you cannot operate the vehicle safely and hits the AI kill switch. So, apparently, by legislation, this is to be installed on all new cars and trucks made in the U.S., but the installation date is still open, and the car manufacturers are saying they can't get it to work. They're working on a model of the AI kill switch for U.S. vehicles, but it makes too many mistakes. And Americans are, as they become aware, are doing pushback. I don't want AI to have control over my vehicle in the event that, hey, I have an emergency and I need to get home. No. But then again, there's the positive to shut down the vehicle if the driver is impaired from alcohol and drugs. So we'll see what we see in the future. So that's going on. We have Comey indicted again. I believe he had been head of the FBI. I think he's the one who said the 33,000 illegal emails that HRC did on a public forum as opposed to a secure government email site. I believe he's the one who said, oh, there's not enough here to, move against her. Shut up, Comey. So, in last year or so, we saw on social media Comey out walking on the beach, and he comes across a seashell lettering on the ground, and has the camera pan in on it, and then he uploaded it to Instagram, I believe.
Say hello to Sara Lee Half Loaves. Half the loaf, all the love.
If you don't have a clear picture of your finances, you don't have a clear picture of anything. Before Relay, my business's financial setup.
86-47. President Trump is now in his second term, but he skipped one that was stolen from him. So he's now President 47. So 86 means to deep six, take away, assassinate. 86-47. So now Comey is being indicted for this by the DOJ. And we're hearing the DOJ is also going to bring a new indictments against Brennan. So all of this is going back to JB, Obama, and so on. So that's going on. And we have this. So there's a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, 3-week ceasefire. However, the Iranian proxy group Hezbollah, embedded in Lebanon, continues to fire on Israel. Israel continues to defend itself. But we're hearing that the Hezbollah is less likely to be using up its missiles and drones in the future against Israel to the extent it has done in the past, because they're not being replaced by Iran. And Iran is not paying the salaries of Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, and so forth. And also inside Iran brought in paramilitary groups. Iran is unable also to pay these mercenaries from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iraq. However, the U.S. is able to pay these proxy groups inside Iran at a much higher rate. And of course, the U.S., when the ground invasion begins, will also utilize these internal paramilitaries inside Iran to finish off the IRGC. So that's going on. And we're hearing this. In CENTCOM, I believe that a ground invasion army general has already been named some time ago, who's been orchestrating the buildup of ground troops. But when we see CENTCOM stand up and name this army general who will be in charge of the ground invasion, we will know it's coming soon. So that's going on. And we have this. We have inside Iran, we continue to have fractures, different groups. And one group is pushing for Iran to go kinetic so that it can humiliate the U.S. Well, hello, Iran. How did that last kinetic episode strike you? And I do mean the simile there. So we have UAE announcing it's out of OPEC. OPEC is a group of nations that come together, oil-producing nations. They join a group, and their purpose is to either increase or decrease production in order to maintain a stable, high amount for the oil. Now the UAE has hit hard times, and they're going to get out of OPEC because they don't want OPEC to control how much they can charge for their oil in the future when they, after this Strait of Hormuz horror is over with. And they also increase the amount of production they will be producing in order to make up for their shortfall they're experiencing now. UAE announces out of OPEC. UAE is the third largest producer in the Middle East of oil. And we believe, according to CCTV, Iran in 12 days will run out of storage for its oil, which means then it either needs to capitulate to the U.S. or shut its wells in, which will significantly damage them and take down Iran's national income from oil for decades. And we have this. So the Iranian government, is saying to the people of Iran, hey, reduce the amount of electricity you're using, then we, the government, will reduce your bill. It's like, what are you talking about? The average person in Iran is going to recognize, if I use less electricity, I'll also be billed less. Shut up, government of Iran. We have this from Crux. Arashi, the foreign minister of Iran, many believe to be under the control of the IRGC. And we know over the weekend or so, he went to Pakistan, then Oman, then back to Pakistan, then to Russia, where he met with President Putin. And we're hearing this. President Putin then made a public statement saying that Russia supports Iran. And also, President Putin said on Russian video or social media that President Putin had heard from Ayatollah number 2, Mustafa Khamenei. And my question is, was it written or was it spoken? But at any rate, President Putin is alleging that Ayatollah number 2 is in charge of Iran. So we'll see. And we have this. Russia is going to continue help to Iran. And President Putin promises Iran
Stop it!
Good news. AT&T sponsors free high-speed Wi-Fi on American Airlines.
Why fly? We weren't going to walk, were we?
We said Wi-Fi.
President Putin also made this statement that Russia.
Okay, prayers out for the people that live in Texas. Kay is, as of right now, is in her closet, you guys. The sirens are going off. So she's texting me.
Russia supports the Iranian people's fight for freedom. And we know that the Iranian people's fight for freedom would be versus the current IRGC, mullahs, Ayatollah, and so on. And we have this coming out also from Crux that in the past few days, there have been meetings between the Russian Minister of Defense, Belousov, and Iran's Minister of Defense, Reza Tlaibchi Nik. Who knew that Iran, I haven't been seeing anything from the Minister of Defense of Iran, so now one is being identified. So the Minister of Defense of Russia and Iran met a few days ago in Kyrgyzstan. according to TASS. TASS is a well-known Russian news outlet. And we have this. We have U.S. intel. Excuse me. Iran, IRGC now understands from the U.S. and President Trump that the U.S. is not weak militarily, and that the U.S. and President Trump and the U.S. military is in no rush. They can maintain that blockade from now too far into the future. Iran has several options. Iran can reinitiate kinetic warfare, or Iran can move to the center to negotiate with the U.S. in good faith. But Iran, and now the U.S., is saying there's no basis upon which to negotiate. The U.S. has this position, Iran has this position. There does not seem to be a bridge between them. And we have this from U.S. intel, that the U.S. is not going to compromise. Iran has three options. They can re-engage in kinetic war, or they can just wait for the U.S. to resume kinetic war, or they can escalate themselves to kinetic war against the U.S., the Gulf states, Israel, and so on. And it's questionable whether Iran would be in a military situation with regard to the number of their missiles and drones. It's really unknown. Now let's talk about China. China, the number one enemy of the U.S., China and Russia both are supporting Iran, both sending weapons and intel to Iran. Well, the Chinese military just had to undergo an audit, and it's being put forth by a Chinese expert, Lay's talk, that in the past, when there was an audit or an evaluation of the Chinese military weapons, ammo, state, and so on, that it would be looked upon as being failure on the part of the group holding ammo or holding weapons that had degraded over time and needed maintenance. For the CCP, the Chinese military, that would be considered failure. So over the decades, the Chinese military simply covered up everything, doing such things as painting over any ammo fuses that no longer worked, replacing in missiles explosives that had degraded over time with soil and sand, and so on. And many of the planes, the maintenance of the planes had also degraded, many lacking job-specific bolts and so on. They had been replaced. So currently, the audit of the Chinese military is failing. You have this from Dutch Sheets, Christian prophet. So the Lord says, and also from Dutch Sheets, Brother Tim Sheets, who's a prophetic pastor, no more dismay, no more delay, says the Lord. And we can look forward to an era of harvest, according to God, when God will increase his Holy Spirit upon America. God's prophecy will become promises fulfilled. So that's going on. And we say, thank you, Jesus. It's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, the latest on Philly there. I got a 9-minute spinning video just came out. Another person, Omar.
One of the single greatest advertisements against mass criminal third world migration is letting third world criminals speak in front of microphones. This is what happened with Banana and Rice Girl, who explained the subtle and Shakespearean differences between Somali and American societies. Let's go ahead and listen to some of this enrichment.
I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American, but it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, you know, it's you know, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice.
This will come as a shock to you, but she was arrested and is being federally charged with attacking federal agents and spitting on them. No word yet as to whether the evidence teams found bananas and rice in her spittle. But what you can see here from her just remarkable expression is two things. One, that they're not sending their best, and America would do just fine without somebody explaining these kind of, like, I don't know where you get the Somali Valley Girl accent, but I hope to never hear that again. I don't know what that is. It is an unholy hybrid of so many things that I hate. But then also, I hate liars. And it's amazing how that bandage is miraculously gone a couple days later. She apparently was so wounded and hurt by ICE agents, she had to wear a comically sized Tom and Jerry bandage, like a Looney Tunes bandage on her skull. And now it's all just completely gone. She must have Wolverine level healing powers. Anyway, so Bananas and Rice Girl arrested for assaulting federal agents. Not the brightest cookie, but let's continue, because the Somali population in America is going wall to wall in proving to us that not only do they belong here, they built, they built America, that their understanding of American culture is even better than our understanding of American culture. And they say this all the time. Most people probably watching this channel, certainly most people that I know, have a relative who fought in World War II. World War II wasn't that long ago. There are technically still World War II veterans that are alive, but vanishingly few of them. Both of my grandparents fought in World War II. That's just the generation that was raised and is dominant. Every boomer knows somebody who fought in World War II. Most millennials, Gen X, know somebody who fought in World War II, and so on. So it means something to us. But if you came here in the 1990s and your family is a bunch of war criminals and you married your brother in order to get over here and you defraud the American taxpayer, World War II means nothing to you. Your world means nothing to these people. And you can see that in this remarkable clip of Ilhan Omar.
During World War XI. The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI. The last time the Alien Enemies...
Your world means nothing to them. They'll be cold, they'll be tired, they will make a fire with your beautiful oak door. Camp the Saints. World War XI. Roman numerals are hard. Everyone give her some slack. She's the queen of the Leering Center. We really hope this is AI. It's not AI. It's real. If you think your job is stressful, there's someone working at Snopes who's going to have to find a way to rate this true. graduate of the Leering Center. Everyone making the same joke. 11 Omar. 11 Omar. T-shirt. We need to start pronouncing Ilhan as 11 Han. Omar is
There,
retarded.
Maria.
I don't even understand. How is this possible? Is it a...
Maria, Kay's in the closet. Their sirens are going off, so she's keeping me updated.
AI? Please tell me it is. Please, I beg you. They're calling her the most historically literate Somali. God forbid we ever have World War III. Ilhan Omar will think we're on World War 111. Look, I don't like Ilhan Omar either, but people are making fun of her. Don't understand that she was obviously just including the Greco-Prussian Wars, the Punic Wars, the Mongol Conquest, 9 Years' War, War of Spanish Succession, War of the Austrian Succession, 7 Years' War, American Revolution, Napoleonic Wars, and counting all of her global conflicts.
Act was invoked. It was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
I just can't. Ilhan Omar on vacation. Greeting from Hawaii. Can we please send her on a permanent vacation? Back, ladies and gentlemen. To the Civil War capital of the world, actually, where her family are war criminals. Come from a family of war criminal, a bloodthirsty family that engaged in brutal civil wars in Somalia. She doesn't care about World War II. She doesn't know what World War II is. She wouldn't be able to name which sides fought in World War II. Imagine being Ilhan Omar and thinking there's 111 guys named Charles who are coming together. Ilhan Omar thinks we're 11 world wars. Imagine how many Fast and Furious movies she thinks exists. Ilhan Omar never learned Roman numerals because she was born in Somalia and is retarded. Ilhan Omar is here. And you are here. World War II, World War III, World War Tokyo Drift, World and War, World 7, War 8, World War 11. Ilhan Omar reading a digital clock. How many fingers am I calling up? 11. Call of Duty World War. Do they learn Ilhan Omar so stupid she thinks that we're 11 world wars? Ilhan Omar says Godfather 11 is overrated. Ilhan Omar is so used to fraud that she added an extra 9 world wars like they were tax deductions. I wonder if Ilhan Omar ever listened to Boys 11 Men.
Yeah.
She remembered 9/11 though. She knows what 9/11 is. All right, she's.
They recognize that some people did something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it's in the service of the Muslim Brotherhood or ISIS, Ilhan Omar makes sure she gets all of the numbers right.
You lost the volume.
This is a clip from the Minnesota State Capitol. Somalis built the soul of this state. Somalis built the economy.
You are not illegal. Our neighbors are not illegal. Minnesotans, I mean not Minnesotans, Somalis brought more than just
Bananas
build
and
the
rice.
they didn't just build the economy, but we contribute to the soul of this great state.
All available numbers show that Somalis are a massive net drain on the
Gary,
economy,
okay.
and that to the tune of billions of dollars. So no, they didn't build the economy, didn't build anything in the state of Minnesota. Built nothing. And they're being raided today. There were over 22 different raids on fake Somali businesses to defraud the American taxpayer. So why don't you start, before you make claims like that, why don't you start on figuring out Roman numerals and the wars of which 0 Somalis fought in for this great land, and then show some appreciation. and shut up. It's your boy Benny. Make sure and subscribe. Hopefully she.
That's his latest new one on Omar. Now we'll get to Doug. I doubt it. What the hell that happened?
Matters to us and to our clients. The firm behind our family is Michigan's most experienced.
Well, a massive pay-play investigation that we announced earlier, but now it looks like there's wheels on this thing going somewhere against the Clinton Foundation. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the Happy Patriots are. We're going to give you all of the details of this whole thing. It's breaking right now, so of course there's going to get more meat on these bones as we go along. But here's the major breakthrough announcement from Hans Mankey. This is the actual Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI. It says, wow, the new release from Chuck Grassley on the Clinton Foundation is a staggering 91-page treasure trove. I just skimmed it. And it's all there. Uranium One, Russia, Boeing, Haiti, Hillary's brother, and all the other stuff. And the FBI did not even open a full investigation, whereas with Trump, they had one false tip about ballroom gossip from 3 months earlier, and they immediately launched a full enterprise investigation. Absolute travesty that Comey.
Today, a grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts. The first count is that on or about May 15th of last year,
we already heard that.
Knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm.
One at a time. I am able to add, so that would be a direct missive. There's an arrest warrant.
And potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
Oh,
we do. I'm looking at this docket case as the prosecutors are putting different things in there, and there's an arrest warrant that is in the docket for James Comey. I was able to see it through the courts system, and it says that the marshals are being asked to both provide Comey with the indictment, and they are issuing an arrest warrant. We don't know what that means, but I will say, as far as the docket goes, it's a very different thing than how this played out in the Eastern District of Virginia when Comey was indicted there on the perjury count. A summons was issued instead. So that would be a direct missive to Comey to say it's time to appear in court to face this charge on said day. That's a bit of a different thing. But Casey, this is a very fluid situation, given that we are just getting court documents in one at a time. I am able to see the warrant request from the Justice Department, potentially escalating things in a way that they hadn't with the Eastern District of Virginia perjury case previously against Comey that was dismissed.
Strzok, Atkinson, who shows up here as well, and others have not been held to account yet, but this is well on its way. This was posted last night. So what is the deal with the Clintons? I'm going to get into some of these charges because we've gone over this document now. It's a content-rich amount of information in my view, but here it goes. Senator Chuck Grassley just released a letter to the Department of Justice and the FBI, along with secret FBI files about the Clinton Foundation and the Uranium One deal. Remember, she traded uranium, sold it to the Russians. Here's what the document shows. In January 2016, the FBI opened a real investigation into the Clinton Foundation. They were looking into whether foreign governments and rich business people were giving money through donations or big speaking fees to get special favors from the U.S. government while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. So that's the pay to play. She was a political leader. The possible crimes they were checking included bribery, public officials, conflicts of interest, and money laundering. They're guilty on all those, of course. The pattern they saw was simple. Money flowed to the Clinton Foundation or people close to the Clintons, and then good things happened for those donors, like government approvals, help with business deals, or special access to the administration. Examples include donations from people connected to Uranium One while a Russian company was trying to buy U.S. uranium. Number two, a big mining donation followed by U.S. pressure director that helped that company. Number 3, business deals in Colombia and other places where major donors got government help. Number 4, huge speaking fees followed by favorable discussions. The same kind of speaking fee pump where you're getting like $400,000 for a speech. The same thing happened with Michelle Obama. Remember, she was given it was like $700,000 for a 15-minute speech. The Uranium One deal was a major focus. It let a Russian state company take control of U.S. uranium. The FBI wanted to know if donations from people involved in that deal helped get the approval. The FBI interviewed people, gathering reports, and found more leads to follow. Names connected to the case included Cheryl Mills, Huma Abedin. Remember her? She was married to Mark Weiner, the laptop guy that exposed his own junk to underage people. Anthony Weiner, there you go. Frank Giustra and Doug Band. Even though they hadn't found direct proof of influence on the Uranium One deal at the time, the investigation was still ongoing, but records from 2018 to 2020 show it was never fully finished. Important interviews were never done, and any evidence is still being reviewed. So they kind of pulled the plug on it. Senator Grassley says this looks like a serious pay-to-play scheme that was never properly wrapped up. So all that happened was Biden won the election and this thing went bye-bye. He's now demanding all the full records, interview notes, and financial documents. This was a legitimate FBI investigation into the Clinton Foundation that uncovered real concerns, but it was left hanging. That may finally change now that Kash Patel is our excellent, efficient FBI director. So those are kind of the big facts, but wait, we got more. This is the pushback from New York Times, right? So they're in on the conspiracy. They want to try and protect their people. It says, breaking, new FBI Clinton doc reinforces the deep state's dual standard of justice. Now, remember, when they talk about deep state, they're talking about Kash Patel. That's good news for us because it's not deep state. Exposing the deep state is not deep state, New York Times, and that's what Kash Patel is doing. But it means that they're finally scratching a nerve if the New York Times is posting about this. Meanwhile, Tim Walz, he says, if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught. After Tim Walz was part of the cover-up and the fraud, and now he's pretending like he's just the big transformative leader that was leading Nick Shirley's investigation into the corruption. He says, and that's exactly what we saw today. This was as the FBI raided those 22 fake daycare facilities after Tim Walz for months defended him. He goes, we catch criminals when the state and federal agencies share information, joint investigations work. Yeah, let us know when that starts, when you want to join the investigations, Tim. And securing justice depends on it. In other words, just a complete fraud. Here's Nick Shirley. He's the one that exposed the whole thing. He goes, it's officially Leering Day here in America, making fun of the bad school that he exposed that misspelled learning. It's now Leering Day here in America. Thank you, Tim, for allowing the world to learn how little you've done. That is absolutely hilarious. More good news from Election Wizard breaking. Virginia Supreme Court denies emergency request by Democrat AG, Attorney General, to pause the lower court's ruling that blocked the certification of the redistricting referendum. So votes went through. The Virginia Supreme Court has denied the lower court, trying to prevent them from straightening all that out. So they were going, look, at least certify the election that we're doing the redistricting. And the higher court said, no, we're not going to certify anything. There's no harm done in not certifying this election yet until we decide if this thing is constitutional. That looks really good for us in Virginia. And then finally, we're busting a guy from Fauci. Just now, Department of Justice has indicted former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci for allegedly concealing records on COVID-19. David Murren, 78 years old, has been charged with conspiracy against the United States, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations, concealment, removal, or mutilation of records, and aiding and abetting. Starting in 2014, Morin oversaw a grant from the National Institute of Health to the nonprofit Echo Health Alliance, which funneled U.S. taxpayer money to the Wuhan Institute of virology for the bat coronavirus research. So there's the old guy right there. He's 78 years old. He'll probably go to prison for life, which will be about 2 years left of his life. And then finally, here's another one. This is from a guy trying to throw shade at Pam Bondi, which is always fake news. Sorry, Walter Kurt, you got caught. He says, all right, say what you want about Todd Blanche, and I will have some words for Todd Blanche in a minute. He says, it's been less than a month since Rep. Pam Bondi was fired. And now we have, quote, number 1, indictments for COVID. Number 2, raids on the Learning Center in Minnesota. Number 3, SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, indicted for covertly funding the KKK. Pam Bondi was in on starting all of those investigations, buddy. And then he finally says, just how much was she blocking? That's the ironic statement. It was not Pam Bondi blocking those things. According to insiders inside the administration, it was Todd Blanche, who is the very more careful legal mind than Pam Bondi, slowing those things down to make sure that all of them were legally passed muster, that's a fine tactic. But it's wrong to say that it was Pam Bondi blocking anything. She gets fired or she quit her job, whatever you want to call it. And Todd Blanche has a fire put on him. He knows he's next. So he's like, I'll put out all these arrests. I hope they stick. They're not actual arrests, they're indictments. You know, Pam Bondi's work is finally coming to fruition. I credit Todd Blanche as being her partner on many of those. But the idea that she was blocking this stuff, guys, absolutely false. If anyone was blocking it, it was Todd Blanche. But the good news is this stuff, hey, hats off to Todd Blanche, man. He got a fire put under him. He's releasing all this stuff, going for it now. Totally approved. It doesn't do any good unless these charges stick. And that means staying out of a Washington, D.C. grand jury court or getting a Washington, D.C. judge. I'm Doug.
I can't play the 24-minute one he has, Kim. He has a 24-minute. I got a second Aaron video. It's 5 minutes. And guess who is in trouble again?
You're not going to stop anything with the brakes that you got.
Daddy.
Yep. But on parts.com, you get.
So I was ready for bed when I saw this from Gavin Newsom's wife. And I had to bring it to you because this takes hypocrisy and flogness to a whole new level. She says, and I quote, "My family and I watched the 60 Minutes interview with Donald Trump and Norah O'Donnell last night, and we were shocked. Seeing a president speak to a woman journalist with that level of contempt and a clear allergy to facts is disturbing, though at this point not unexpected given his pattern of behavior. But that is the problem, because when that level of disrespect from the highest office in the country repeats itself, it starts to trickle down into our culture and define what power looks like, shaping how boys and plenty of men see women and girls and what they come to accept as normal behavior." She goes on. Ooh, gee, yay. Add in rhetoric rooted in political division, amplified by a digital ecosystem that rewards outrage and misinformation. And this cultural norm of hate, othering, and misogyny becomes pervasive. Behavior that should be challenged gets normalized. What should raise concern is amplified and cheered on. It's no wonder we have a culture that normalizes dominance and aggression towards women and girls, which not only silences them, but also leads to internalized misogyny in others. And then just prior to that, she writes, "Thank you to Norah, all of the female journalists, and frankly to all of you who continue to be brave and speak truth to power. This culture of misogyny is on all of us, and it has to end." And then prior to that, she reposted Gavin saying, "Oh, glad everyone is okay at the White House." Didn't do her own post, mind you, didn't use her own words, her own voice, even though she's a powerful, independent woman. She didn't think it was an important enough occasion for her to talk about herself, for her to maybe make comment or to condemn. No, of course not. And then 5 days earlier, "This Earth Day, along with blah, 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 blah." Can I just say, this woman's
complete lack of self-awareness is actually, I mean, terrifying. It really is. This is the same woman, mind you, who took the mic, basically shoved her husband out of the way at some event about, you know, something to do with feminism, and basically admonished, scolded the journalists, many of whom were female in the room, because they didn't ask the right questions. And she said, with respect, as though that made it okay to tell a bunch of grown adults, including women, how to do their job. Watch.
No, we just find it incredulous that we have Planned Parenthood here, and women are 51% of the population. And the majority of the questions, all of these questions have really been about other issues. So it's just fascinating. You have this incredible women's caucus and all these allies, and you're not asking about it. And this happens over and over and over and over again. You wonder why we have such a horrific war on women in this country, and that these guys are getting away with it, because you don't seem to care. So I just offer that with love. But you have incredible women in this room, and you have these allies. Ask about what we're here for today, don't you think?
So, Jennifer, forgive me, but you are so appalled by Donald Trump actually having an adult engagement that was absolutely robust with a female who, sorry, dishes it and can take it. But you're not appalled at someone trying to shoot him dead? Or, say, the woman next to him, his wife. Or, say, the woman next to her, a pregnant woman, Caroline Levitt. So you're okay. You're okay with an assassin who could have killed multiple women. You don't feel like that is worthy of condemnation. But you're not okay with a president, adult to adult, having a robust conversation, a disagreement, having a crack, absolutely, at an adult female journalist who is incredibly experienced and has taken multiple pot shots. So sorry, that is ridiculous. That is so hypocritical. And it is just incredibly embarrassing. Incredibly. So yeah, it's the same as all of these faux feminists. Let's get super angry at the tone of voice that a man used with a woman, but let's be completely okay with a gunman attempting to kill. Yeah, make that make sense. Selective outrage much? Yeah.
Icon G2 ratchets.
Okay, she had two good short ones tonight. Our lion.
No perfect words, just what's left. I've been tired. My mind feels heavy. My heart feels off. I feel lost. Enough. You are not lost. You are not weak. What you feel is not who you are. It's the devil trying to break you. You are under attack. He doesn't come for the weak, he comes for the light, he hunts the faithful. And you carry the fire of God.
This is a good one.
That's why your mind feels like a battlefield. Those thoughts, not all of them are yours. Doubt, fear, confusion. He sends them to make you surrender. But not anymore. You see it now. You are not the problem. You are the target. And if you're the target, you are chosen to stand. So fight the right way. Not by running, not by overthinking, by going to God. When pressure rises, you pray. When your mind gets loud, you get still before him. When fear shows up, you answer with faith. Because the devil cannot stand where God is present. Stop calling yourself weak. You're being forged. Warriors don't bow to fear. They kneel to God. And that's why they rise. They bleed, but they don't break. So if the enemy wants war, then war is what he gets. Because your faith is your weapon, and God stands with you. Stand up! Right now, reject every lie. Step out of confusion into clarity. Out of fear into authority. Pray. Even when you don't feel it, call on God. Even when he feels distant, that's where your strength comes from. Listen carefully. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not without purpose. You are being prepared. This is not your end. This is your formation. Stand.
I'll play him, the lion, more.
Been this close to the beast system being implemented. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. But first, let me tell you what the Bible says about the beast system. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So we know it's going to be a system of control. And a system has different parts. First one I want to talk about is the data centers, which is the nervous system. Right now in the U.S., we have 4,000 to over 5,400 data centers already in the United States, with 3,000 more expected or under construction right now. In a biblical context, the beast system is characterized by three main pillars that would logically require massive computational power. Number one, universal surveillance. 2, economic control. And 3, centralized enforcement. Let's talk about universal surveillance. Palantir, that has embedded itself into every sector of our government, from the military to USDA to FAA, the IRS, everything. It's also about to control our skies with AI. Also, Palantir Inc.'s deal with USDA to manage farmland and control America's agriculture data, taking over the nation's food supply, because they have to be able to control the food as well. Remember, you won't be able to buy or sell. That includes food, which brings us to the second pillar, economic control. The Bible says that those who are here will not be able to buy or sell, which will be implemented by a worldwide cashless, permission-based economy, which is going to require a 100% uptime digital ledger. It's going to take a lot of data. The next pillar is centralized enforcement. Managing a worldwide population is going to take a lot of data and use algorithms to flag dissent or non-compliance. With this system, it's going to have several key components that are going to be housed in data centers. First is cloud computing, which is the power over all the nations and tribes. Artificial intelligence, which is the image of the beast. And biometric databases, which will be used for the mark in the forehead or the right hand. It will literally be like an electronic cage. And this physical mark is only going to be half the battle, because you're going to have a digital twin as well. A digital twin is a virtual representation of every living person stored on a server. And the only way that Satan can pull this off is with data centers. To control every single person on Earth, that is a lot of data. And to do it digitally, you have to have data centers. And all of us know by now what the implications of these data centers are doing to our world. But the powers that be do not care, because this has to happen. Look, Google just approved Pentagon to use AI tools in classified settings. You see, data centers represent the transition from local power to omnipresent power. The beast system isn't just a political regime. but a technocratic one, where the algorithm becomes the law and the data center becomes the temple of that administration. And even if you don't want to believe this is coming, it is. You cannot stop prophecy. You cannot tell me the Bible is not real when we are literally seeing what was written thousands of years ago happening right now. The only thing that is going to save you from this is believing in Jesus Christ, believing that Jesus died, was buried, and rose again for the remission of your sins. Don't wait until it's too late, and don't ignore the signs. Listen up.
Okay, one more with her.
In a movie? Well, let's talk about this right quick and hear this. This movie is 33 years old. In 1993, In the Line of Fire came out. It was about a haunted Secret Service agent trying to stop a brilliant A-word from unaliving the U.S. president. And guess what? It took place in a ballroom at the Westin Hotel. And in the movie, the Secret Service agent was pew-pewed, but had a vest on and lived. And we know that a Secret Service agent was pew-pewed, but lived. And in the movie, the one who did it built his own. And what a coincidence, this one did the same thing. And the fact that this movie is 33 years old, they really like to just throw things in our face.
Wow.
Listen up. Y'all know how.
Yeah, those are new ones. She just came out with those two. That was good. The Wire Channel.
Turn after turn, era after era.
And they're off. Here he comes.
This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, April 28th, 2026. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. War in Lebanon continues despite ceasefire. Piracy activity complicates merchant traffic in the Gulf of Aden. Threat level elevated. Somali daycares raided in Minneapolis. Beginning with international events, in Lebanon, the war continues as before, with Hezbollah conducting FPV drone strikes on Israeli armor, which are continuing their clearance operations in southern Lebanon. Analysts comment. The ceasefire between these two belligerents being such a sticking point with the Iranian talks has not really resulted in a cessation of the war. At best, the Israelis have slowed down the bombing within Beirut, but otherwise this war continues on. In the Red Sea Horn of Africa region, as the tenuous ceasefire continues in the Persian Gulf, the Somalis have begun to increase hijacking attempts targeting commercial vessels in the vicinity of the Gulf of Aden. Last week, Somali pirates boarded and hijacked an unidentified tanker vessel, directing the vessel to Somalia's territorial waters. Overnight, another hijacking was reported as the merchant vessel Sword was hijacked in a similar manner, with the vessel being taken to the pirate strongholds along the eastern coast of the country. After these two hijacking incidents, another piracy attempt was reported today to the east, farther off the coast. Separately, a local Somali fishing boat was hijacked by Somali pirates last week, and an attempted boarding was reported in the same area. Analysts comment. Piracy activity in the Gulf of Aden has been a mainstay for decades. However, now that many shipping routes are skewed due to the Gulf War, piracy activity has increased over the past few weeks. 2 successful hijackings and several other attempted hijacking operations taking place within just a few days is noteworthy, especially for the companies attempting to adjust to the radical changes to maritime shipping brought on by the war. As a result, the UK MTO has elevated the threat to substantial for the Somali Basin and the Somali coast. On the home front in Minnesota, this morning the FBI conducted raids at several Somali daycare facilities in Minneapolis, many of which were at the center of previous fraud scandals. The Quality Leering Center was among the list of sites where evidence was collected, and around a dozen facilities in total were the target of the raids. The city of Minneapolis was not part of the raid and went out of their way to distance themselves from the federal investigations into these facilities. Analyst comments for this wire. Not many details have emerged regarding the Washington Hilton assassination attempt beyond what was immediately published the day of the shooting. The shooter's home in Torrance, California was raided on Sunday, but no disclosures have been made regarding whether or not anything was found. One of the major intelligence gaps, at least in the public sphere, is whether or not the suspect was communicating with anyone else before the attack. Some indications are present that he was talking to family members who knew he possessed violent intent, but it is not known if the suspect was coordinating or communicating with anyone online specifically to plan the attack. Most of the high-profile targeting efforts observed over the past few years, not just the Trump assassination attempts, but the Kirk assassination and the sniper attacks on ICE facilities, have involved the shooters having an extensive online presence, which in most cases indicated some level of communication with others. In this case, Allen survived the attack, so his testimony is at least available, and more time will be needed to determine if anyone else was involved in the planning phases of the attack. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, April 28th, 2026.
Athlete's foot, call a timeout and get those puppies.
This is a new guy on YouTube. I don't normally play.
His right-hand man indicted.
His name is
Piercing
R.J.
his inner
Talk.
circle at
Shout out to
NIH.
Jake Mantle.
28 federal raids conducted this morning in Minneapolis, including on Ilhan Omar's favorite quality leering center and more, much, much more. Ladies and gentlemen, accountability appears to have arrived. Let's get started.
Good.
Has indicted former FBI Director James Comey for a second time.
Advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci now facing criminal charges. This over an alleged cover-up involving research into the origins of COVID.
Back with a Fox News alert, the DOJ confirms to Fox News that FBI and HSI agents are currently serving 22 court-approved search warrants in the Minneapolis area this morning in relation to federal fraud.
Yes, breaking this morning, a swath of federal indictments, federal search warrants as well. Everything we've been waiting for months arriving in one single day, really 1 week. First, it was the launch of the DNC's Act Blue investigation into their foreign straw donor scheme. Then the grand jury indictment last week of the SPLC for funding hate groups around the country. You can't make that up. Now, breaking this morning, James Comey indicted again. Anthony Fauci's right-hand man indicted, which we're going to cover in detail because it's an interesting case. Remember, Fauci, he was pardoned by auto-pen Joe Biden, preempted pardon. This is one way, this new indictment, to break that federal layer of protection, rolling it up into a conspiracy charge or a possible RICO charge. We're going to get into it. And massive raids as well. Federal searches conducted across Minneapolis this morning on potential fraud rackets. Corporate media, let's just say they are perplexed on the speed of what's happening. All of it now beginning to make some sense. The preempted attack on FBI Director Kash Patel last week. Dems in the media, they were calling for Kash's resignation a week ago over that anonymous Axios report that he was some closeted alcoholic.
That shows that Kash Patel appears to be a raging alcoholic. He should not be FBI director. He should go seek help and treatment.
Totally made up. Well, now we see why. It's starting to make sense. Let's begin with James Comey. The Department of Justice indicting former FBI Director James Comey again for the second time. The charges reported first by CNN. Of course, CNN, they employ Comey's former coffee boy. That's why they have such good sourcing inside the bureau still. Details scarce at the moment for what exactly this indictment's for. We assume it's something similar to what his first indictment was for, lying to Congress, basically. When during a 2020 Senate hearing, Comey denied authorizing leaks to the media related to the Trump-Russia investigation. The only reason, by the way, he got out of that, why that case didn't move forward, was because of a Virginia judge, an activist judge, tossed the case on the grounds that the then interim U.S. Attorney, Lindsay Halligan, was appointed improperly to her position. Nothing to do with the underlying charges. That's the only reason. Well, a new indictment dropping today. Hopefully, DOJ's crossing their T's, dotting their I's this time around. Let's not forget, last May, Jim Comey posted a photo of seashells on a beach with the numbers 8647, a reference to Take Out 47, the president. That was after Trump's first assassination attempt. The guy is a creep. Then we've been able to learn that Anthony Fauci's right-hand man also indicted today. A guy by the name of David Morans has been charged with conspiracy against the United States, destruction, alteration, falsification of records in federal investigations, concealment, removal, or mutilation of records, and aiding and abetting doing so in a conspiracy to falsify records in an effort, get this, to suppress the lab leak theory. Check it out.
Former top advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci now facing criminal charges. This over an alleged cover-up involving research into the origins of COVID. Rich Edson on this story. Intriguing, Rich. What you find out there in Washington?
Now, it is, Bill. The Justice Department has charged David Morins, a doctor, with conspiracy, claiming he concealed federal records to counter evidence that COVID-19 may have leaked from a lab in China, all to help restore a controversial coronavirus grant. Morins, a former aide to Dr. Anthony Fauci, testified before the House's COVID Select Subcommittee nearly 2 years ago about emails he'd sent in February 2021, claiming that he'd learned to make emails disappear after he received Freedom of Information Act requests.
And this was Fauci's former senior advisor, his right-hand man. This is piercing Fauci's inner circle at NIH. This guy personally responsible for answering congressional subpoenas and requests surrounding COVID, surrounding the lab leak theory, which we now know Fauci and his team purposely trashed and lied about. This is important because if you were to FOIA,
if your basement walls are peeling,
I see it, Tim.
that is not appealing. So this is water damage?
Yes, sir. That's water damage.
something from NIH as an American, or if Congress requested emails or documents from Fauci's former office, this guy was the person allegedly responding to those requests, handling and preparing those responses. What the DOJ is alleging is David Morins purposely hid those documents by changing the file type. So if your FOIA request asked for all emails from Fauci related to COVID, he would go in, change the file type to a PST file so it wasn't technically in Fauci's inbox anymore. It was no longer an email. It was on a personal storage table instead. He admits this. He admits to doing this.
Ever delete or attempt to delete a federal record?
No, but let me explain why. When I came there in 1998, we were instructed to delete emails or to move them into PST files frequently because they jammed the computer.
The Justice Department says Morins used his personal Gmail account to exchange non-public information. The indictment also claims an unnamed co-conspirator gave Morins wine for his, quote, behind-the-scenes shenanigans, then suggested he could push scientific commentary in a prominent medical journal advocating that COVID-19 had natural origins. That's a competing claim with the lab leak theory. The indictment says the co-conspirator could also provide meals at top restaurants in Paris, New York, and Washington, D.C. In April 2020, the NIH terminated that back coronavirus grant awarded to EcoHealth Alliance, who then contracted the Wuhan Institute of Virology to conduct that research in China. From the start of the pandemic, its president, Peter Daszak, worked to discredit any theory that COVID-19 had leaked from that lab.
Okay.
Bill?
All right. Thank you, Rich. More to come. Rich Edson on that story from Washington, D.C. Thank you.
This is important. David Morins is facing 50 years in the slammer if convicted. He could throw Fauci under the bus. I'm assuming that's what this indictment's about. It lists two other co-conspirators who are those two other people? We don't know. Anthony Fauci, of course, was granted a preempted pardon by former President Joe Biden, really granted the pardon by the auto pen. I doubt Biden had any clue it even happened. Then we've also been able to learn J.D. Vance's fraud task force today conducting over 28 federal raids this morning all across the city of Minneapolis, including on Ilhan Omar's favorite quality Leering Center. Check this one out.
Here we go, back with a Fox News alert. The DOJ confirms to Fox News that FBI and HSI agents are currently serving 22 court-approved search warrants in the Minneapolis area this morning in relation to federal fraud investigations. One of those locations is the infamous Quality Learning Center, which you see here. Fox will be covering this story all morning long. A big break for the DOJ.
And you won't believe this, but guess who's trying to take credit for these federal raids today?
Oh, is this
None
guy,
other than Governor
you guys
Tim
like
Walz,
him or
writing
not?
this on X. Today's raids by state and federal law enforcement happened because our state agencies caught irregular behavior and reported it. That's how the system's supposed to work, and our agencies will keep at it as long as there are fraudsters around to put behind bars. Oh, is that so, Tim? Kash Patel responding to him, come again. This FBI and DOJ, with our DHS partners, drafted and executed every search warrant today, but go ahead and take credit for our work while we smoke out the fraud plaguing Minnesota under your governorship. And let's go one step deeper, folks. Is Governor Tim Walz lying? Did his team have anything to do with this? Well, even the city of Minneapolis says no. No, they didn't. We had no clue, they said. Posting, the city of Minneapolis is not involved in the federal operations being reported around Minnesota today.
Yeah.
And as of 9:30 a.m.
Okay, we won't play that guy no more. Unless you guys like him. Did you guys like him or not? I don't really like it. I got a 4-minute one from Auntie.
There is something very wrong. The absolute last words ever uttered by Anton LaVey, one of the most notorious Satanists, in fact, the founder of the Church of Satan. Anton LaVey is also the author for the book of the Church of Satan. These were the last words he spoke, as in the moments he was about to pass away, a moment extremely important to Satanists, death. Whatever it was that Anton LaVey saw as he was about to shuffle off this mortal coil put him into a pure state of panic, shock, and clearly a state of regret, as he realized and clearly verbalized in a state of panic, what have I done? There's something terribly wrong. There's something terribly wrong. If you don't believe still that heaven exists and that hell is very, very, very real, perhaps the final words of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, might help you actually realize both are very, very real. Hell is a place of total and utter torment, of gnawing and gnashing of teeth, where demons will literally, night and day, without end, torture you, rip your flesh apart in ways that I can't even begin to imagine, let alone try to even explain, all for your flesh and your body to rejuvenate so that they can do it all over again. Just the thought of the sound of the words of Anton LaVey in his final moments, when whatever met him at the door of death shook him so deeply that he would react that way. Perhaps these words will help you understand. Although for Anton, it was far too late, it is still not too late for you. Eternity is nothing to joke about, and eternity is nothing to play with. And once you're in hell, that is forever. There is no repenting, there's no saying I'm sorry, and there is no going back. Because in hell, torment from demons, the pain, the suffering, the stench, the sulfur, the heat, the fire, the flames, the screaming of others all around you is nothing compared to the one thing that, in my opinion, makes hell the most absolute, horrible, utter place to be. And that is the absolute absence of God. No matter how much you cry or repent or say sorry, it will not matter and it will not help, because God is not there and will not hear you. And once you're in hell, like Anton LaVey, you are there for eternity. Yeshua could come back any day now, guys. Your soul is nothing to play with. And eternity, well, like Prince says, that's a mighty long time. No, friends, that is forever. The life that we live here on this earth is literally just the blink of an eye compared to eternity. I want to hang with you in heaven so bad, and I never want to know anybody. Not anybody, not even my own worst enemy, ends up in hell, full of regret, like Anton LaVey, a man who idolized and worshipped Satan, a man who found out too late and on his deathbed that Satan, who he had worshipped for I don't know how long, who he had pledged his allegiance to and dedicated his life to, all of those things that Satan had promised him to give him in the afterlife, Anton LaVey learned the hard way, that Satan is a deceiver, because everything he promised him, they were lies. So if you are still struggling in believing.
Sorry about that, you guys. I got the guy with the glasses and the hat. His new one just came out. And then I played YouTube lady to end that show with.
G and HD for EPAC. It is April 28th, the year of our Lord, 2026. This is EPAC, Ensure the Preservation of America and our Constitution, the news you need. I'm your host, H.G. Gerner. I want you to take a good look. This is in response to a post on TikTok by a gentleman, Mr. Robbie Starbuck. Okay? It's kind of interesting that he shows this picture. And I want you to take a good, long look at that image. You see everybody, the Republicans, they support the United States, the United States President Donald Trump. And, okay, you see the Democrats. All of them are standing for who? The King of England. He was here today in the United States making an address to the joint session of Congress. When the Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson, introduced the King of England, everyone stood up. Republicans, Democrats, everyone. Here's the interesting point. Maybe it's just me, but didn't the Democrats and the Marxists in this country, well, first off, the Democrats never stood for President Trump when he gave his address. They hate Donald Trump so much because they think he's a king. He wants to be king of America. He was an authoritarian. He's a fascist. He's a king. He's a wannabe dictator. But now, and maybe it's just me, let me know. I'm going to leave my email there. Could this be like the very definition of hypocrisy? The Democrats and the Marxists had the No Kings rally, the No Kings protest. We don't want any kings in our nation. We don't want any authority. We don't want any fascists in our nation. No kings. This is a No Kings rally, a No Kings protest. But here, they will stand and applaud for the King of England. One of the things that is kind of, I guess, what you might say, I wouldn't say so much apparent, but it was 250 years ago. You have to watch King Charles III give his speech. He talks about the what you have to watch it. I'm not going to try to go into detail, but what he has shown, and he's in his speech, is that the centuries-old England, I mean, long time centuries-old England, has moved into the modern world because of the United States. He mentions the Magna Carta. Remember that? The Magna Carta pretty much talks about the rights of the individual and how the King of England and the Parliament of England was basically riding over the rights. The people, the citizens, the peasants of England literally had no rights. The king was sovereign, and he could change the rules as he saw fit. Remember Henry VIII? He killed everyone that didn't allow him or was going against him to marry a woman and actually divorce his then wife, Catherine of Aragon, and marry Miss Boleyn. He killed them all, chopped their heads off, because he wanted to, like I said, divorce Catherine of Aragon and have a son with Miss Boleyn. That's where England changed. That's why people were leaving England to come to America so that they could practice their religion as they saw fit. The people in England were Catholics. The cardinal from Rome was basically the chancellor of England. He governed. The king, King Henry VIII, was the king. But they had the parliament, the cardinal from England, representing the Pope, was basically the head of the government. That's when things changed. The United States became the supporter of the individual rights of everyone in America. And they established a nation of laws. Those laws were to protect the rights of the individual. When the rights of the individual are protected and upheld, then that individual, whoever they may be, is allowed to exercise those rights. Even the King of England said this. Watch the speech. But the hypocrisy by the Marxists and the Democrats, the Hakeem Jeffries, the Pelosi's, the Ilan and AOC's and Murray's and Pocahontas, they hate Donald Trump with such passion. They literally have lost the ability to think rationally and act rationally. The hatred, that intense hatred that they harbor, shuts down specific areas of the brain that are responsible for rational thought. It is a clinical psychiatric fact. More importantly, when that happens, when those areas of the brain shuts down, the next thing that happens, the people that harbor this hatred, they get impulsive, they become destructive, and then they become violent. And many of those people turn into sociopaths. Look what Hakeem Jeffrey said the other day. I don't care about your criticism. We are waging warfare all the time. Waging warfare on who? Donald Trump? You and I? That's exactly who he's waging war on. And he doesn't care what you think. He doesn't care about your criticism. These people are a huge, huge problem. And contact me. I'm going to put my website. You can watch all 4 of our documentaries about Marxist political warfare on my. If you go to my website, preservingamericaepac.com, and then I'm going to put my email. Contact me. Is it just me, or does this seem like this huge, massive, steaming pile of bullshit? These Democrats are a danger to our society. They become sociopaths, and there's a handful of them. Recently, we saw this with the White House Correspondents' Dinners. These Democrats purposely put out signals. It's called signaling. Purposely put out those signals, knowing that people out in the public, out around the country, who are psychologically troubled or imbalanced, will act on those signals. These people have become dangerous, not just to our nation and to our national security, but to you and I. Our national security right now is in such heightened, I guess what you might say, heightened level. Our national security is in crisis. There are thousands and thousands of people in this country right now, terrorists, that the Biden administration purposely ignored and basically not opened the border. But what happened at the border? These terrorists were able to sneak in because of the thousands of people inundating the ports of entry. We have a problem here, and Donald Trump, thank God, he is fixing this. Pray for America.
Okay, caught up with him. I'm going to play our other lady that does a good job, 3 of her short clips. And then I'm going to finish off with the YouTube lady at 17 minutes. Here's another good, but yeah, does a good job.
Buttoned up elite events in politics. The White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Everybody stay down, stay down. Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from?
This is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill.
We are diving into the disturbing details of last night. Plus, we're now learning more about the man in custody, and it turns out the calls were coming from inside the house. We have new details from his own family.
Secret Service police interviewed Alan's sister as well and said that she said her brother had a tendency to make radical statements.
Wait until you hear the rest of the warning signs. And of course, the regime media already has their script ready, and they're pointing the finger at you.
The permission structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans. Only people inclined to consume conservative media.
So this isn't a both sides thing. So we can just cut that garbage out right now and just stop the nonsense.
Hit that like button if you think the Democrats are the ones with a rhetoric problem. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss the truth behind these headlines. Glad to have you with us for this special Sunday show, even if the circumstances are grim. By now, you've seen the footage of the assassination attempt at last night's White House Correspondents' Dinner. But to understand how we got here, you have to look at the entertainment starting on Thursday night. Check out Jimmy Kimmel, who did a mock alternative White House Correspondents' Dinner speech. Listen to this.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
I got some other ones. I'll play two other ones. We saw that already. I didn't play this one.
Take a platform.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I'm no longer willing to permit a and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not anybody.
Oh, you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me.
This made my blood boil. Her snarky tone says it all. It's a total setup. They take a line from a sicko's manifesto, the kind of stuff you wouldn't read to your worst enemy, and they drop it right in the president's lap. It's deceptive, it's malicious, and frankly, it shows they're not just watching the game anymore, they're playing for the other team. The president called it exactly what it is, disgraceful.
I'm not you read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, as a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
You're
the
disgraceful.
I don't know how he does it, honestly. I mean, even Morning Joe, the show that usually spends 3 hours a day trying to find a way to blame Trump for the weather, even they had to clear his name.
We've had reporting for some time. Donald Trump is not on Epstein's list. There's nothing in there that's really damning about Donald Trump.
When Morning Joe says there's nothing there, you know there's really nothing there. But yet, here we are. After a third attempt on President Trump's life, the media is still throwing around horrific labels like they're just passing out flyers. And have you noticed the double standard? When a manifesto belongs to a transgender shooter, the media treats it like a state secret. It's swept under the rug, buried in the backyard, never seen again. But when a shooter parrots the left's talking points, they elevate the message because this guy looks like a good foot soldier for the cause. Then they try to hit him with the dictator angle.
He had attended a No Kings protest in California.
No Kings. Yeah.
What did security tell you about what
See,
may have been his
part,
motives?
the reason you have people like that is you have people doing no kings. I'm not a king. What I am, if I was a king, I wouldn't be dealing with.
But it gets worse. 60.
Okay, we got to get caught up with her. All right, the last video, you guys, about 17. I hope I can get it done by 9 o'clock. We got to stop right at 9.
Roaches love our messy cooking.
Best buffet in town.
Clearly, somebody who had this home foreclosed on had that foreclosure rage. They were just so incredibly angry by the fact that they were losing their home that they completely destroyed it. Losing your home to foreclosure is one of the most devastating things that can happen to someone. You're not just losing your house, you're losing your stability, your memories, everything. In today's video, we're taking a look at what happens when that pain turns into something else entirely. Because in a lot of these circumstances, instead of walking away, some people decide, if I can't have it, nobody can.
All right, so going in. Actually, not going in here. Okay. So I do. Hello. I'm just here for photos. Don't be alarmed. I'm doing some BPO pictures today for banks, and I get to go into homes that are vacant and likely in a distressed situation, in foreclosure. And sometimes we don't know what we're walking into here. Hello. So I always just make friends. I'm just here for photos.
Okay. How terrifying. Okay, so this lady has to go in and take photos of foreclosed properties for banks because, as you know, if a house gets foreclosed on, the bank takes ownership and recalls the mortgage and all of that. So that means that the bank has to send someone out to check the property so that they can get it ready to sell it and get their money back. So while this property isn't as bad as we are going to see today, it does bring up a real concern that a lot of people have that they're going to walk into a, quote, distressed circumstance and potentially put themselves in harm's way. So she's saying that she kind of comes into these homes and she announces herself, I'm assuming in case there are squatters, and the squatters could just be people that are unhoused, or they could be the previous owners of the home that have just, broken back in after they've been escorted out, because that's something else that we see is a lot of people refuse to leave and the sheriff has to come and actually remove them. But what a lot of people will do is they will go back later, break in, and continue to live there. People like her that have to just simply walk into a house and start photographing, damages for a bank, you don't know what you're walking into. That is a scary, scary job. And so kudos to her for trying to at least be friendly about it. And of course, we saw the signature Don Julio empty bottle right on the kitchen counter. Not surprised to see that.
Just here for pictures. Okay. Hello. I don't know what that is. Or that. Okay. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think it's time to get out of here.
Okay, so they didn't leave this place as trashed as we expected. So let's see what else is out there.
Currently going through a house that is in a pretty fair area of the city. And I wanted to just show you what somebody did who was obviously not very happy about leaving the house, or somebody broke in and did it intentionally. Get down these stairs. Every single wall has holes punched into it, and they're all plaster walls. Every single window is broken. The furnace has been stolen, the hot water tank's been stolen, the vanity for the bath has been stolen, the toilet has been broken in half. Every single wall has a gouge in it, several gouges, and every window broken. Boy, that's a lot of work. Look at that wall. Every window broken. That window is open and completely missing any screen or anything. No birds in here though.
Kim, check your email, okay? I just think of something.
Are you Marsha?
I am. I am.
Thanks for meeting me here.
Wow, 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 wow. Those are plaster walls. And looks like they just took, I don't think it was a fist. Looks like they just took a hammer and just started taking out their frustration on the walls and the windows. Looked like every single plaster wall and every single window in that house was busted out with a hammer. They were obviously angry right before they left and they took it out on the house.
Hey, now it's your favorite property recovery agent. We're out here on the west side. It's early, it's warm. We got us a fresh foreclosure, and this place looks a hot mess. It's missing the aluminum siding as high up as one can reach, and it had a condemnation notice. This place is condemned. So we got a condemned fresh foreclosure. Now it had HUD locks, it had lockbox. I got access. Have not been inside this sucker. Let's go inside. Let's check it out first. Ooh. Carpeting on the entrance. Fancy. No, it's not fancy.
You got this one, Craig.
Stinks like an old cooter. Oh, wait a minute. There's a basket behind the door. Oh, it fucking reeks. Boy, and stinkeroo, funkarillo. What's dying in that? Ugh. Look at all the whatever that is. Could be shit. The fridge has got stuff crawling out of it. Oh. Oh.
Where's Flying Eagle at, Kay?
Can we even get through here? Yeah. Oh, well, maybe. We got flies. We got the stinkeroo. We got the funkarillo. Oh, we got over here.
All right.
Bathroom.
You eating ice cream?
Clothes. The toilet's got a garbage bag in it. You know what that means, ladies and sirs. That means that the fucking plumbing wasn't working and they were shitting in a bag. I'm not even kidding. That has to be why.
Okay, so it doesn't look like they really damaged this property as much as just leaving it absolutely disgusting.
Say hello to Sara Lee Half Loaves. Half loaf, right fit, realize great size, less waste, all taste more, flavors to savor, first bite right. Brand new, all you. Give a little Sara Lee love.
Oh, they did it.
Oh, it looks like, it almost looks like people purposefully throw shit everywhere, does it not? Like, it doesn't look like, oh, they were moving all of their stuff out and they just said forget it and just left everything everywhere. It looks like they purposefully trashed the place, not just damaging the property, but by throwing crap everywhere, specifically to make it even harder for someone to come behind them, clean it up and sell it. Wow.
Boarded and they kicked it back in. Yeah. Nuts. At least the garbage disposal is still there. That window's open. That was boarded once too. That right there. Oh, look at that's the granite countertop broken on the floor. I didn't even notice that. That's the furnace. The rest of the furnace that used to be in the attic. Master bedroom. I don't know. They stripped all the wire. At least they were clean and brushed the teeth. But yeah, we had this reboarded and they got back in. And this time they can't blame the cold. They're actually lighting fires in here to stay warm and lighting fires there to stay warm in cold weather. Even where the water heater. Yeah, see the furnace is ripped out. Another bedroom destroyed. Look at the mold. Yeah. And then where the water heater was at, it's gone. Look at this. This is the garage. Look. Every room destroyed. That's the front door. It's gone too.
And I don't know if you guys are paying attention either, but all of these are recent. They're all recent. I think the oldest one that I might feature is from like July of 2025. All of these are from 2026. So these are not old. This is happening right now, and that might start telling you something.
You left your son's room pretty much okay. I wonder if that's
okay?
Was she okay? Her son's room. It says the name on there. Anyway, fresh coat of paint, Justin, and good cleaning, and it'd be back to new. I think this is a easy money-making opportunity here.
All right.
I mean, and then we have people like this that are coming in and they're seeing it as an opportunity for them to make money. They're literally going to be profiting off of someone else's heartache and rage. And I understand business, right? It is what it is. People get into real estate, they make money off of real estate. And I have a respect for that. But then at the same time, it is very, very sad because clearly somebody who had this home foreclosed on had that foreclosure rage that they were just so incredibly angry by the fact that they were losing their home that they completely destroyed it and devalued it as much as possible. But then it's also an opportunity for real estate investors to come in, buy them cheap from the bank, flip them, make them look good again, and then sell them for top dollar and make money off of it. It's kind of a really sad cycle if you think about it. And I'm not putting down real estate investors at all. It's something I would personally love to do, but it is really sad if you think about it.
Just about over, you guys. Just about over.
It's not terrible.
It's almost moving ready.
Stop it!
Let's face it, most of us aren't going to set foot on Mars.
I'm on Mars! It's freezing. I'm going to go back to the module.
Some things are out of reach.
I got this.
But a card with access to exceptional benefit.
Oh my gosh. Somebody got mad and took a sledgehammer and went to town. Clearly there was some rage here. So we know that foreclosure is one of the toughest things that somebody can go through. But turning around and destroying the property? I mean, I don't know. Do you think that those feelings are justified? Do you think that just because somebody is losing their home and the bank is taking it back, does that give them permission to just absolutely destroy the property? Do you think that their feelings are valid? Or do you think something like this should be illegal? I'm bordering on the side of something like this should be illegal. I think that there should be some sort of a clause or something in a mortgage, and who knows, maybe there is. Maybe there is, but I think that there should be some sort of a clause or something in bank documents that says that in the event of foreclosure, you are not allowed to damage the property beyond normal wear and tear. If so, you could face potential jail time. I mean, if someone is having their home foreclosed on because they don't have the money, suing them for damages is probably not going to get anywhere. But criminal charges might deter people from doing this kind of thing. Or do you think that them destroying the property is perfectly within their rights? Because in theory, the bank should be big enough to absorb any losses caused by homeowners that are extra pissed off. But then you have to think, if someone is having a property foreclosed on, then that means that the property now belongs to the bank, not the previous homeowners. So that technically means that those homeowners are destroying someone else's property, which should be criminal, right? Just this whole thing blows my mind. There are so...
Okay, that's about it there. She was just about done. All right. Well, we had a big day of intel. A lot of work getting the intel out. Hopefully tomorrow will be an easier day for me. Unless something breaks through. That's kind of weird. We got, 3 indictments in one day? We got Fauci, we got Comey. So just stand by on high alert. If anything breaks through, I'll be on. Thanks, Mods, Kay, Lucy, Carol, Tim, and Lion Eagle. God bless everybody. Love all. Please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. Never give up. Signing off for Tuesday night. Chico Dude. We'll see you tomorrow.